Warning: the following show mentions Home Alone 4 by an unprofessional or under the supervision of an unprofessional. Accordingly, Episcope and the producers must insist that no one attempts to watch or rewatch the TV Christmas movie Home Alone 4 that was mentioned on this show. Unless you have nothing better to do. Well, the holiday season is here. You know what that means.
Santa's coming to town!
Santa! Oh my God! Santa here? I know him.
There's so many classic Christmas movies to watch that I bet many of you have watched all of them by now. My personal favorites are Christmas Vacation, Home Alone, and Home Alone 4.
What? What are you talking about?
I'm just kidding. That's a terrible, terrible movie. I don't recommend watching that movie around this time of the year. Or any time in general. Seriously, don't watch it. Don't. There's probably somebody by now commenting on this video saying, "Oh, it can't be as bad as Home Sweet Home Alone." No, honestly, Home Alone 4 still takes the cake for me.
Stop Sesame!
Seriously, don't watch it. One of my favorite holiday movies is A Christmas Story. You know the one where the kid gets a BB gun for Christmas, another kid gets his tongue stuck on a frozen pole, and then this weird kid.
I like Santa. Yeah.
To summarize, it's about the narrator Ralphie Parker as an adult, talking and showing his most memorable childhood Christmas of getting a Red Ryder BB gun, as well as adventures and experiences during that time.
Lifebuoy, on the other hand.
Despite all that, the film has a pretty interesting history. Well, 'tis the season. You're gonna find out about A Christmas Story on this holiday episode of Pointless History. So, there's this guy named Gene Shepard. To sum it up, he was a jack of all trades in the entertainment industry. Now, you all might be asking, what does this have to do with A Christmas Story? The film is based on a novel that Shepard wrote called In God We Trust, All Others Pay Cash. The novel is about the narrator Ralph coming back to his hometown and recalling old memories and stories with his bartender and childhood friend Flick. It started off as 7 short stories published in Playboy magazine, and then Shepard decided to turn it into a novel. It consists of 31 chapters, half of which are nostalgic short stories, and 4.5 of these stories were used to structure the film, with portions of the other stories sprinkled in. I also have to comment, for short stories, they have some pretty long titles. Eventually, interest in turning some of these stories into a movie would come to fruition. Shepard started writing the screenplay with his wife Lee Brown, and director Bob Clark, who was known at the time for directing the adult comedy Porky's, as well as the holiday slasher Black Christmas. Man, that's a hell of a transition. But hey, worked out great. I'm going to put a horror movie reference counter in the corner of this video, just in case there might be another one. The casting process was pretty interesting. The simplest casting was for the characters Randy and Mrs. Parker. Melinda Dillon was cast as Mrs. Parker after Bob Clark saw her in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Ian Petrella was cast as Randy right before principal photography took place. Now, when it came to casting the old man and Ralphie, it was a bit of a process. When casting for the old man, originally the role was up for Jack Nicholson, who was coming off big from The Shining, and he was also interested in being in the film.
That is, quite a story.
But because of Nicholson's expensive acting fee, the role instead went to actor Darren McGavin. Man, if only we could travel to another universe where Jack Nicholson was in A Christmas Story. Okay, now I know what you're thinking. No, I know that doesn't look anything like Jack Nicholson. I decided to try to do the deepfake thing where they put a face on another actor or person, and that is the result of me trying to put Jack Nicholson on Darren McGavin. Well, there goes my $15 down the drain. Alright, let's just get back into the video. The toughest casting was for Ralphie. It was said that over 8,000 actors had auditioned. In the end, Peter Billingsley was the final choice. At the time, he was known for being in the reality show Real People, starring in many TV commercials, and the slasher movie Death Valley. Actors who auditioned for Ralphie that didn't get the role, but would become famous later on, were Sean Astin, Will Wheaton, and Keith Coogan. With $3.3 million, Bob Clark went off to create a classic Christmas movie. The movie was shot in both Ontario, Canada, and Cleveland, Ohio. The scenes with the interior of the Parkers' home, as well as at the school that Ralphie and friends attended, were shot in Ontario, including the famous scene where Ralphie drops the F-bomb.
Oh.
In fact, that was actually shot on the side of a road in Canada. I always got a Canadian vibe from this movie. Anyway, the scenes that had the characters in or around the Higbee's department store were shot in Cleveland, as well as the exterior shots of the Parkers' home. The film was released in November 1983, right before Thanksgiving, and then it vanished for a minute. It was thought to be a sleeper film for a little while. What's a sleeper film, you ask? Okay, so I'm just gonna quote what it says here on Google, but promise me that you're not gonna get me in trouble with the plagiarism cops. Please. So, a sleeper film or a sleeper hit is a film, television series, music release, video game, or some other entertainment product that was initially unsuccessful on release but would become a success later on. I just assumed it was the kind of film that you leave on in the background and you fall asleep to it. I gotta stop assuming things, man. A Christmas Story is not a sleeper film, though, because it met with some success and good reviews on release. At the box office, it earned over $20 million. But if it disappeared for a little while, then how did it become really popular? In December 1985, A Christmas Story started airing on TV. It was also released on home video around the same time, helping increase its popularity. And as time went on, it would start airing on more TV channels, starting in the 80s and continuing to this day. However, a funny little holiday tradition started in 1997, when the TV channel TNT started playing the film for 24 hours straight, from 8 p.m. Christmas Eve to 8 p.m. Christmas Day. Then in 2004, TNT decided to become a more dramatic channel.
It's not your fault.
This is when TBS took over this holiday tradition. Because of this tradition, it brings in between 40 to 50 million viewers every Christmas. Then starting in 2014, both TBS and TNT, for the first time in 10 years, would simultaneously air the film, just an hour apart, because Ted Turner couldn't make up his mind of what channel he wanted the movie to be played on. I think he might be losing his mind. Well, then again, he was riding a buffalo in Conan. Flick's tongue to the flagpole scene was actually done very safely. There was a hidden vacuum tube in the pole, giving the mirage that his tongue was really stuck to the flagpole. Also, don't actually stick your tongue to a frozen pole. It really does work, but don't do it. Gene Shepard, his wife Lee Brown, and director Bob Clark have cameos in the film. The time setting for the film is debatably unknown. There's references of the Wizard of Oz film from 1939. Ralphie's Little Orphan Annie decoder suggests that the film takes place in the early 1940s, but then you have the calendar in the kitchen that suggests that it takes place in 1939, because it shows that December 1st was on a Friday. To sum it up, the filmmakers didn't really give any thought about the time setting of the film. In the end, it doesn't really matter.
It just doesn't matter!
Except to us film buffs. It actually gives us something to talk about. There's been a mystery about the old man's real name for years. In the leg lamp scene, Bob Clark's character Swede says,
Damn hell, you say you want it?
Now many have thought he said,
Damn hell, you say you want it?
causing many to think that the old man's real name was Hal. However, it was revealed in the shooting script that his name was Frank. Peter Billingsley was 12 years old when he played a 9-year-old Ralphie Parker. There was some deleted daydream scenes taken out of the movie to keep within the hour-and-a-half time frame. One scene was the teacher, Miss Shields, visiting the Parkers' home and telling Ralphie's parents how much of a great student he is and how he should get the Red Ryder BB gun for Christmas. This transitions into a scene where Ralphie saves Flash Gordon from Ming the Merciless. This is the most well-known deleted scene from the movie. In the end credits, you can actually see that they credited the actors who played Flash and Ming. There was to be another daydream scene where Ralphie saves Santa Claus from Black Bart and his gang. Of the 3 deleted scenes, the Flash Gordon scene is the only one with proof that it was filmed. Now believe it or not, there were some sequels, and other stories about the Parker family and their endeavors that were turned into movies, as well as a musical adaptation. There were some made-for-TV movies based on the stories from In God We Trust, as well as A Night of Golden Memories. They were made for the PBS anthology series American Playhouse. Funny enough, the movies are so far here on YouTube. I'll leave the links in the description if you're interested in watching them. A musical adaptation was produced in 2009, starting off as a regional production, and eventually making its way onto Broadway in 2012. Then in 2017, they would do a live televised version of the musical titled A Christmas Story Live. There were 2 official sequels released in connection with A Christmas Story. The first one was originally released as It Runs in the Family, later retitled to My Summer Story, to help give it a connection to A Christmas Story. The second sequel, titled A Christmas Story 2, ignores the events of My Summer Story and has an original story not entirely based on any stories that Shepard wrote, except the characters. I've also heard this one is pretty bad. I haven't watched it yet, but I don't think I really want to. But hey, it can't be as bad as Home Alone 4. A Christmas Story is, in my opinion, one of the best Christmas movies ever made. What makes it work is how simple yet hysterical the plot is, mixed with characters that are very relatable, and the narration by Gene Shepard is satisfying yet witty. It reminds many of us of our most memorable Christmas, whether we got what we kept asking Santa Claus, or just had a wonderful holiday season spending our time with family and friends. It's the quintessential nostalgic Christmas movie. I wish it wasn't called a sleeper film though, but thank God it did not become like Home Alone 4. That movie was just a piece of crap.
Hey, happy birthday, Jesus. Hope you like crap.
Hey, before this video ends, I just want to wish everyone a happy and safe holiday, as well as a happy and safe new year. Thanks for watching the videos this year. I'll see you guys in 2022.